Trey Gowdy, former congressman and chairman of the House Oversight Committee, now a partner at Nelson Mullins and a Fox News contributor. Good to have you with us tonight, sir. What's your reaction? What do you think he was getting at with that no one objected?
That Devin and Paul knew about it and had no problem with it. That's exactly what he's getting at. And the reason he's doing it this way is Devin and Paul are not allowed to discuss anything that is said in a Gang of Eight meeting. And McCabe knows that. So he can level the accusation, and Paul and Devin cannot refute him. What I think is fascinating is there were 3 investigations into a duly elected president. The Peter Strzok one from July of 2016, and then McCabe started a counterintelligence, and if he's telling the truth, started a criminal probe into the President of the United States. I listened to Devin and Paul quiz the DOJ and the FBI for hours on multiple occasions about the one counterintelligence investigation we all knew about it. I find it stunning that they would know about a second one and not say a single solitary word. And I will continue to not believe they knew about it unless one or the other contradicts it.
So you're saying that Paul Ryan, Devin Nunes, that the whole Gang of Eight was not aware that there were 2 investigations. So the first investigation that everybody understood was whether or not there was Russian interference in the election, correct?
Well, if you look at the FBI document, which was drafted by and approved by Peter Strzok, it was a counterintelligence investigation into the Trump campaign. Now, the FBI doesn't like it when I say that, but unfortunately, I've seen the documents. I know exactly what Strzok wrote. They want you to believe that it was into what Russia was doing, and that's fine. That's appropriate. Unfortunately, Strzok used the phrase Trump campaign. So that was the one from July of 2016, and now McCabe says there was one in May of 2017 in addition to the criminal investigation into obstruction of justice.
Understood. I mean, and everyone knows that the FISA warrants were happening during the time of the original investigation, which goes right to the heart of what you're saying about the Trump campaign in and of itself. But what triggered the second part of this for Andrew McCabe is quite clear. He was very upset that James Comey was fired. And when he was pressed on this by Savannah Guthrie on the Today Show this morning, he said, she said, what evidence, what reasoning did you have? And he says, because he clearly wanted us to stop investigating. He talked about Michael Flynn. He asked for, perhaps you could see your way past this investigation. And he felt that there was a direct line, perhaps, from that to him being an agent of Russia, essentially.
If thinking that Jim Comey is not a good FBI director is tantamount to being an agent of Russia, then just list all the people that are agents of Russia. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Rod Rosenstein, who wrote the memo getting rid of Comey, Michael Horowitz, who's the inspector general. I mean, look, I know McCabe liked Jim Comey. I know that. But lots of people thought that Jim Comey had lost the ability to lead that department. And the fact that President Trump got rid of him in May of 2017 is not sufficient basis to launch a criminal obstruction of justice probe. Look at what happened, Martha. He gets rid of Comey, replaces him with a Comey acolyte who not only continues the probe, but expands it. So if his goal was to obstruct a Russia investigation, gosh, he did a terrible job of it.
Well, your friend Adam Schiff clearly believes that this evidence that Andrew McCabe speaks of definitely existed. And just to remind everyone, Andrew McCabe said that he believed that the president was a national security concern and that it was such a potent moment for everyone because they were so terrified about this. Here's Adam Schiff talking about what he sees as the continued evidence at this point on Sunday. Let's watch.
You can see evidence in plain sight on the issue of collusion, pretty compelling evidence. Now, there's a difference between seeing evidence of collusion and being able to prove a criminal conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt.
Your thoughts?
Well, collusion is a synonym for conspiracy. So I hope the questioner followed up and said, okay, Chairman Schiff, you have just said you have evidence of a criminal conspiracy between the President of the United States and the Russian state. What is that evidence? What is the crime? Was Trump involved in the hacking of the DNC server? Was he involved in the hacking of John Podesta's email? Are you alleging that he participated in deciding when to disseminate the proceeds of those 2 hacks? I have heard Adam on a number of occasions say that he is the third eye raven, has evidence and seen things nobody else has ever seen before. But I've never heard him ask, what is it? What is the evidence of crime that you have, Chairman Schiff? I've never heard him I've never heard it followed up on.
He also weighed in on the Jussie Smollett story. With this tweet on January 20th, he had also made some assumptions about the outcome of this case. Perhaps he said, I met him at the Pride Parade in Los Angeles. I've seen his passion and moral clarity of his activism firsthand. This week, he was the victim of a horrific attack. We pray for your speedy recovery, and we reject this act of hatred and bigotry, says Adam Schiff with regard to that. Quick thought.
Horrific attack is the words I went to. It is another in a long list of instances where Adam Schiff would rather get the attention than get the facts. And I've said before, he was a good lawyer. Unfortunately, he's a much better politician. Lawyers get the facts and then they make conclusions. Politicians just want the attention. And he got it. And I wonder if anybody's going to ask him, how did you get this so wrong?
Trey Gowdy, thank you, sir. Good to see you as always. And now House Intel Chairman Adam Schiff made his first big move tonight, announcing a sweeping investigation into President Donald Trump and voting to turn the transcripts of the congressional interviews with Donald Trump Jr. and Hope Hicks and others over to the special counsel Robert Mueller for cross-checking, wasting no time firing back from the president.
He's just a political hack who's trying to build a name for himself, and I think that's fine because that's what they do. But there would be no reason to do that. No other politician has to go through that. It's called presidential harassment, and it's unfortunate, and it really does hurt our country.
Joining me now, former prosecutor and Congressman, Fox News contributor Trey Gowdy. Good to see you tonight, Trey. Thanks for being here. I also want to put up a tweet by Adam Schiff and get your thoughts on this. He says, I can understand why the idea of a meaningful oversight terrifies the president. Several of his close associates are going to jail. Others await trial, and criminal investigations continue. We're going to do our job and won't be distracted or intimidated by threats or attacks, he writes. What say you, sir?
I just wish Adam would be intimidated by the facts. The 2 years that I worked with him on the Russia probe, Adam was wrong about collusion. Remember, he said he had evidence that was more than circumstantial but not quite direct, that the president colluded with Russia. He was wrong about Donald Trump Jr. and who he called before and after the meeting at Trump Tower. Adam has also leaked incorrect information to media outlets. I wish Adam were serious about oversight. There's a lot that needs to be done in the intelligence community about leaks, about FISA. He's not interested in that. He is interested in undoing the 2016 election results. And he needs facts for that. And so far, his intimidation has only been by that.
You know, I mean, it's interesting to me because as you point out, he said early on that he had seen evidence that there was collusion. So I'm just wondering, you know, I mean, none of us know what is in the Mueller report, but I wonder what his response is going to be if they don't find collusion. You know, nobody knows what else they might see in there. But I mean, how's he going to react, and where's his evidence going to be if indeed that report disappoints him?
I just hope he's asked. I mean, I'll just settle for someone in the D.C. print media asking Adam a follow-up question. He said he had evidence of collusion between Russia and President Trump before Bob Mueller was ever appointed. He had evidence of collusion before anybody else did, according to Adam Schiff. So why is he not constantly asked, as a Republican would be and should be, if you claim you have evidence, direct evidence of collusion, what is it? And he's either not asked or he's not forced to respond. Yeah,
and if that's the case, I think, you know, most of America would certainly like to know what happened, because everybody would certainly want to know that if that was indeed the case. In terms of Mr. Nadler, Congressman Nadler, who is heading up the committee, and he is asking for Mark Whitaker, the acting attorney general, who's coming in on February 8th to testify about why or why not, you know, what his process was on not recusing himself from the Russia investigation when he became acting attorney general. Then they said they were going to subpoena him also, even though he said he was going to come and talk to them.
Yeah, there are three reasons that Jerry Nadler did that. Number one, so you and I would be talking about it, and others would be talking about the acting AG being under subpoena. Number two, it does compel attendance but Matt's already said he's coming. Thirdly, and importantly, and what I don't think your viewers know is when Matt says, I can't answer that question because it's privileged, I can't answer that question because it's an ongoing investigation, if you're under subpoena, it makes it much easier for the committee to compel you to answer. That's why they're doing it. They're not worried about him not showing up. He's already said he's coming. Although, Martha, I hope he doesn't. He's going to be the AG for about another week. He's got about another week, so he's certainly not going to talk about his vision for the Department of Justice. He can't talk about Mueller. He can't talk about Rosenstein. He can't talk about any ongoing investigation, and he can't talk about communications he's had with the president. So what's he going to talk about? He's not going to be there in a week. So, look, Matt's got access to much better legal minds than mine, but I think I'd have a cold Friday if I were him. And then by this time next week, Bill Barr will have been confirmed, and he can come answer all of Jerry Nadler's questions. But Whitaker's got, what, a week left on the job?
Good point. Good point. Trey Gowdy, thank you very much. Good to see you as always, sir. See you next time.
Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.